women, by and large, are significantly inferior to men at firefighting. Wah! Smell. I seek here the muddy. I know this is pretty radical thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Fembots can essentially kiss my ass. Progressivism is a societal cancer. If you don't like it, Tumblr is that way. Hello everyone, welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, this piece of news is 4 days old, but only now I found out about it since I had a very busy weekend. But it seems that Charlie Hebdo, the French magazine, which has lost some of its staff after being murdered by a jihadi, has now decided to go full Dhimmi. The news is suspiciously absent from the big media such as the CNN, the BBC and so on, but only presented in right-leaning media such as the Telegraph, Breitbart or Washington Post. This surprises me a bit. I would have expected that the kebab-loving leftist media would enjoy this piece of news and print it all over the place. Something's rotten in the Kingdom of Denmark, isn't it? Anyway, the Telegraph titles, "There will be no more Prophet Muhammad cartoons," says Charlie Hebdo editor. It goes like this. The editor of French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo has said the magazine will no longer draw cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in an interview with a German magazine. Laurent Sourissos told the Hamburg-based news magazine Stern that the magazine had done its job and what it had set out to fulfill. The weekly magazine's editor, who is known as Rees, said, quote, "We have drawn Muhammad to defend the principle that one can draw whatever they want. It is a bit strange though. We are expected to exercise a freedom of expression that no one dares to." Okay, skipping a few paragraphs. Mr. Sourissos came close to death himself and only survived the massacre after playing dead, he told the magazine. He recounted the tragic details of the terror attack committed by Islamist terrorist Saeed and Sherif Kouachi. The Yemeni branch of Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attack, which they said was punishment for the cartoons of the Prophet. In Islam, it is blasphemous to depict the Prophet visually. When it was over, there was no sound, no complaints, no whining. That is when I understood that most were dead, Mr. Sourissos added. He also said, "The mistakes you could blame Islam for can be found in other religions." Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? Fucking hell. You see, this is the problem with left-wing artists. They don't understand even when their bullshit bites their own arses. No, you pretentious bubbling twit, the mistakes one can blame Islam for are not to be found in other religions too. And before you tell me about some bullshit interdiction that the Catholic Church applied unsuccessfully on some book, please be reminded that this is 2015 and not 1515. Since when it has become acceptable to judge Islam by 16th century standards while simultaneously judging Christianity and other religions by 21st century standards? In the 21st century, or the 20th for that matter, no other religion has killed people because they disagreed on a bloody cartoon. Unless, of course, you want to count Marxism as a religion, in which case I won't dispute the claim. But this Laurent Sourissos Dhimmi is definitely not arguing that case, because since he is a leftist coward himself. See, this is what pisses me off, and it's something that will eventually kill Europe culturally, and if left unfettered and unopposed, I might actually live long enough to see it myself. It's this constant pandering to the religion of perpetual offense, and it's also this never-ending game of pretense that all religions are the same. When the hell will we, as Europeans, start growing some bloody balls and stop pretending that the Judeo-Christian heritage of Europe is somehow the same with the right of return to the 7th century, which is the style of debating that Islam is pushing on this continent? Seriously. And please, don't give me that bullshit that, oh, but not all Muslims are the same and all that claptrap. Yeah, okay, not all Muslims are the same. So what? Now what? How does that change the fact that it's precisely Islam that is the ideology which threatens and commits violence whenever someone dares to say or draw something that offends their pedophile prophet? Any Muslim who doesn't speak out is, whether he wants it or not, complicit to the atrocities committed in the name of Islam. If you're not the same, then speak up. Denounce the dangerous elements in your community before they go full jihad and not after. When I'll see a communicate from a nation of Europe every week with more dangerous jihadis expelled following intel provided voluntarily by the local Muslim community, then I'll start taking the not all the same rhetoric in a serious manner. Because let's be crystal clear on this. Islam can only be reformed from within. Their own elements must fight to purge the jihadis from their midst. It's not the Europeans' job to reform Islam. The Europeans' job is to protect themselves from Islamic violence, something that some of us in Europe take very seriously, although definitely Western Europe no longer seems to take that as serious as it should. Look, you could say that Charlie Hebdo always criticized other religions too, and yes, this move doesn't necessarily mean that they're abandoning their principles, and there is some truth to that, but the fact of the matter is that a satire only has power if it offends harshly. That's why satires against Christianity go largely unnoticed, because Christians today will just shrug it off and move on with their business. That's why there are no Charlie Hebdo shootings equivalents, but with Christians. In other words, it's both in their financial interest and in the interest of the culture at large for satirists to go after those perpetually offended. And in the case of perpetually offended religions, Islam definitely wins the competition. No contest. It's clear though that Charlie Hebdo has taken the side of the PC narrative, that it's all the same and everything is just relative. The cultural Marxist critical theory is to replace sanity and reason because the editor is too much of a coward to actually stand up for something in his life. The French usually have something to say to such fools, something that we should all say more too often, especially to the editors of Charlie Hebdo. Nique ta mère. And with that being said, don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Twitter @FreedomAlternat, and consider supporting this channel. Thanks for watching.